I am Vero, and you're watching Modern Immigrant. Welcome everybody to a new episode of Modern Immigrant. As always, I'm so happy that we're here on a new Monday with a new episode. For those that might not know, or if you're new in this space, I just want you to know that we have episodes every week. We share immigration stories, we share services, resources, and anything that might help you in this immigration journey. We do it in both English and Spanish, and today, guess what? Yes, it's English. So today I have the pleasure to introduce to all of you and to show you this amazing interview that I had with Sandra Hinojosa Ludwig. She's the author of this amazing book, Chica Why Not, which I highly recommend you to get. I have been reading it and I just love it so much. We're going to be talking about her immigration journey and also what she is currently doing. She's a certified life coach and she's helping Latinas and everyone intentionally manifest a life that loves them back. I didn't know what intentionally manifestation was, so I got to ask her all of this, and I'm also learning a ton about it with her wonderful book, which if you get, just know that you will be supporting a Latina author, which is huge. Sandra also talked about what was her life back in Mexico, how was emigrating from Mexico, living in the US, in the UK, in Germany, and currently in Canada. So yes, a lot of different experiences. We talk about a lot of different emotions and feelings and things that she has been able to learn. So get ready, because you're gonna get inspired and you're gonna want to start creating that life that you want and that you deserve. So I hope you really enjoy this episode. Know that you can always subscribe so you don't miss any episodes if you're listening or if you're watching us on YouTube. I'm glad that you're here. You can also check out our Instagram at Modern Immigrant. We're gonna be sharing a little bit more information about the episodes, about our guests, and also so we can stay connected. I also share about my immigration journey over there. We have a website, modernimmigrant.net. I promise I'm almost done. And you can always check out our website so you don't miss any of the other things that Modern Immigrant is doing. We have a book club that you can join, and we also have an amazing project called Immigration is Good. So all of the information is there. I'm gonna leave the Instagram handles over here too, so you can get to know a little bit more what we're doing. So again, thank you for being here. And welcome everybody to a new episode of Modern Immigrant. Today I'm really excited because I have Sandra with us, and we're gonna talk about not only her immigration story but also her book, which is gonna be born in just a few days. So Sandra, welcome to Modern Immigrant.
Thank you so much for having me.
This is really exciting, and I start every interview by kind of exploring with my guests their immigration journey. So I know you told me that you have been living in different countries and you have been traveling in different places. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your immigration story and when did that journey start?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Mexico, and in 1999 I left Mexico for good. So I did 1 year in Germany. I did an internship in Germany, then came back to Mexico for a bit, then went back to United States to do my master's. So I did my master's there. It took about 3 years, and then I ended up working with an American company there. Well, I didn't know at the time. It was actually a Canadian company based in the US. So I worked with them for about a year and a half, and they were the ones that brought me to Canada. So they brought me to Canada in 2003, and then I worked in Canada until 2011, and then I moved to the UK. Same, my company moved me to the UK. I was there for 3 years and came back after my little one was born, and then I've been living in Canada ever since.
Wow, that was an amazing summary. So many places, and I can't wait to ask more things. It does sound like when you left Mexico, did you know that you were leaving for good? It kind of sounded like that, or did you have like a plan?
I was just going for my master's, and I didn't know what was going to happen. Actually, I did have a job offer to do like a year in the US. It was an American company that had a company in Mexico, and to do a year with them and then go back to Mexico. Also, my previous company in Mexico was kind of sponsoring me with a little bit of money, where they say, okay, you come back to us. If you don't come back, you pay us back. So, but once I was in the US, I'm like, they give you a year permit, right, after you finish your studies.
I
So
did
I'm
that.
like, yeah. So I was like, maybe I'll stick around and see what happens, right? Like I can always go back home and
Yeah.
go back to where I come from. But yeah, and then little did I know, I started working for this company. They brought me to Canada, and then I met my husband here.
Amazing. What a journey. It's amazing to think about that decision that we make of leaving our hometowns, and I relate to that piece of, well, I can always go back, and we have no idea what the future kind of holds, right? And I do want to ask you, like, from the places you have been, it sounded like the US and Europe and also Canada, what have been some of your like learning experiences through that time? Because I know it can be hard to be an immigrant, but I'm sure it has been different too in each place.
It has been, and I think that's the thing that I tell anyone that says I'm leaving Mexico or I'm moving somewhere else. I'm like, expect the unexpected, and expect that you might have an idea, but you really don't know. Like when I moved to England, right? It was the 5th country I had lived in. So I'm like, oh,
I got that.
Bridget Jones' Diary. I know what it's like. And then you get there and it's nothing like you thought, right? Because one thing, and I have been to England many times, but it's very different living there from visiting there, right? So it's definitely expect the unexpected and be very, very open to the culture, to the people, and to just understanding that things are not going to be the same that back home or where you used to live, and just kind of like go with the flow. I think it's the best of it, because there's nothing you can predict when you move to a new country.
You're saying something that's so important, and when you were saying expect the unexpected, I really like that twist, because my brain immediately goes to expect the worst. Espera lo peor, right? Like that's what people would tell you, and that doesn't actually help because that's terrifying. Expecting the worst is kind of like scary, but yeah, the unexpected, right? Like as you're saying, expect that things are gonna be different. I think as immigrants, I have found myself trying to make things work in a way, and that just doesn't work that way. Things are gonna be different. Can you remember like a few unexpected things that maybe happened in some of your journeys?
So for example, in England, their social event, if you will, is going to the pub. Like people finish work and they go to the pub, and it's not even about drinking. That's the social thing. Like in the little villages, people walking with their dogs,
right?
And people bring in their kids, because most pubs are family pubs. You bring in your kid, like that's the social event. And then compare that to Canada, where I live now, where the social event is taking your kids to sports.
Oh, right.
If you live in town, you go for, and you're single, you go for drinks and then go for dinner and then go home. But if once you have kids, the social event is going to sports. The kids here do so much sports.
Really? I didn't know that. I feel like that maybe it's the same as the US, maybe. Similar.
I think so. Yeah. I think so. So, you're doing like the hockey and the soccer and the beavers and all these things. So it's almost like understanding how different socializing. In Mexico, it's more like, everyone would invite you to their home. And they want to have you over for dinner, and they want to chat, and they invite you over on the weekends. And
yes.
That didn't happen here in Canada or in the UK or, when I was living in the US, I was living in Kansas. So that didn't happen there either. It's like everywhere is different. Germany, I was working at university, so it was a little bit different because everyone was from other places. So,
right.
But yeah, it's kind of interesting to learn the different ways
Yeah.
of that side of the world, I guess.
Take the good. Yeah. And you feel like, have you been able to adapt to those different kind of cultures? And it sounds, for what you're telling me, that you have been very flexible and you really go with the flow. Do you have like, is there a way that you think people can be a little more like that? Because I see that it can be a struggle sometimes, or a challenge, if you feel like that doesn't fit with your culture, right?
And I wish I would say that I was like this all the time. In retrospect, I'm like, oh yeah, go with the flow. But when I'm there, I'm like suffering. I
Right.
think really the only thing is really expect the unexpected. And I really think it's very important to try and build a social life as soon as possible. When
Yeah.
I came to Canada, there was a website called Two for the Show, where
Mm-hmm.
you could meet people to go to like a show or like a thing. So I met a lot of girlfriends that way. We went out to the movies, we went out to the theater. So within a year, I knew a lot of people in Canada, and I met Mexicans as well. So it was really good. When I went to England, I joined Ladies Circle,
Great.
which is this group of women that got together every other week, and they really became my friends, and they're still my friends. So
Yes.
that's the only thing, like try and build a social life pretty quickly, and not only with people from your own country, because many times we tend to
Yeah.
like, where are the like in my case, where are the Mexicans at? Then let's get together. But really
Mm.
get to know people from there, doing the sports, joining clubs, whatever it is that they do to socialize, and trying to meet people, because that will make the transition so much easier. Because really
Yes.
belonging, it comes when once you have a circle around you. And I say give it 3 years. It takes about 3 years. Don't expect that 6 months you're going to be like settled. It usually takes about 3 years.
Thank you for saying that. That it's huge, because I feel like we as immigrants, we tend to forget. After many years living abroad, we're like, yeah, it's easy, it wasn't that hard. But it's like, wait a second, remember how it was the first 6 months, the first year, you're still adapting. It's maybe we forget, it's kind of like a defense mechanism. We're like, oh no, everything has been pretty. But no, like, I feel being honest and realistic with the plan and with what to expect, I think can really be helpful. And I love that you're talking about connection and building community, because that's really what makes you feel like you're part of a place. I feel like as immigrants, I have had so many conversations with people that tell me, I feel like I don't belong. And a lot of that comes from feeling literally alone and isolating yourself. So thank you for that piece of advice, because I think that's something that we can do. And maybe we connect with other immigrants, or maybe we connect with people that are also not from our countries, but that might be feeling similar. So you won't feel as, okay, what's going on with me? Because, there's nothing wrong with you.
And
Yeah.
on the other side, it's like it's a different experience, and it's definitely not an easy experience for sure, because many times you're gonna be like, especially the first year, what did I do? Why did I move here?
Yes.
But recently I posted on LinkedIn a picture of me with my book. So in LinkedIn, I know all these people, and it was amazing to see all the people from around the world that I met during all of my moving around. Like I had people from South Africa, from Israel, from Europe, from South America, from Mexico, from Canada. It was beautiful to see, and I know that I actually know these people. I've actually worked with them. I've actually done projects with them. So but now that I look back, I left the corporate world in 2016. But now that I look back, I'm like, I had a pretty good run. It was really fun.
You make those connections, and you build those relationships, and that's something that really lasts forever. And I feel like something really important that we talk about the first time we met, and I love when you mentioned this, and I want you to talk about it, because we're talking about that, opening up and reaching out for help and joining clubs. And it takes a lot of courage to do that, right? It takes a lot to be open and vulnerable, which this is the one word that I always have a hard time saying in English. being vulnerable. I love that you said that immigration has a lot to teach us on that sense. And it almost seems like you need to be like that in order to be an immigrant. And I would love for you to kind of talk a little bit more on that.
Yeah, so yeah, and it came out in the context of the book because we were talking about how, you think you got it, you're doing amazing, and then that's what happened to me. Then you move to a place where really the experience of moving to a new country is one of the most vulnerable experiences you'll ever have in your life because everything you know is no longer. Like yours, if you move to a country that doesn't speak Spanish, boom, now it's a different language. Or even if you move to a country that speaks Spanish, they speak it differently, right?
Mm.
So, new language, new culture, new social structure, new job, new everything. And it's like, it is hard as it is to change one thing in your life, to move a home or to change jobs or to get a new car. Now imagine doing it all at once. It's huge.
Yes.
And all these little voices in your head that, why did I do this? Is it me? If you're struggling immediately, is it me or is it something else? You start doubting yourself a lot. So I know I've been through that several times and moved several times, but it just boils down to that is where you have to be the most connected with who you really are and your why you're doing this, why you move. And also, I think it's too being connected with the fact that nothing is forever. And you always have the choice to move back. You always have the choice to say, you know what, it is different, but different is not bad. Let's see what this different is like. Or you know what, it is different, but let's see what good can come of this, right? Like, I think is really connecting back with who you are, why you're doing this, and then knowing that nothing is forever.
Yes. And I love that. I feel like you really were able to experience that, living in so many different countries and moving to different countries with work, like really seeing how change is the only thing that we know for sure that's going to happen, right? And seeing yourself having the ability to adapt, to meet new people, like those are things that are always going to be with you and are going to help you wherever you go. So I think that's beautiful that you really took the best out of it, as much as I know it's hard to become an immigrant. And I know there were probably very difficult days and difficult times. I do think I will love, and definitely I want to talk about your book, and I want to explore how, your own journey and immigration stories have also shaped the reason why you wrote the book, or some of the stuff that you put there, which I have to say I'm waiting for mine. So I'm really excited. Maybe when this episode is out, the book will be already out, or I can show it in the intro. So yeah, I'm really excited to hear a little bit more on your book and what motivated you.
Yeah, and
oh yeah, there it is. Perfect. Put it a little closer to the camera. If you show, there we go. Chica.
I got my advanced copy.
I love it.
So the book starts with my story of, I just kept thinking that I needed to, I wasn't living a life that I was happy with. I felt stuck at work. I felt stuck in relationship. No relationship lasts more than 4 months. I felt stuck with money. I felt stuck everywhere. And I just didn't know how to make it happen. So I kept moving. I moved from Mexico to the United States, and it would be, fun for a little bit. And then that feeling of stuckness came back. And then I moved to Canada, and it was fun for a little bit. And then that feeling of stuckness came back. And what I realized is that at the end of the day, I was the one that was the common denominator in all of that.
Right.
And so, I had this chance conversation with a coworker of mine. I was in Canada, and he told me about the new CEO that we had in the company, the new president that we had. He used to be a junior marketer, and apparently he used to complain about everything. And then one day he stopped complaining. And like 5 years later, he was the president of the company. And I'm like, what?
Oh my goodness.
That's the thing.
Wow.
And, keep in mind that I was like really frustrated, really stuck. Like, and by the way, I was quite known for complaining too. I was actually very good at complaining. So he said that, and that kind of put like a little seed in me, like, what's going on? And then that was like January 2006. And then like February, March, I heard about the law of attraction, which I had never heard about before.
Yeah. The
And
Secret,
that's
is
when
it the same from the book, The Secret? The Secret.
yeah,
Yes. Okay.
yeah. So I saw the movie,
Mm-hmm.
and then one of the main teachers there was Abraham and Esther Hicks. And I started reading about them. I really liked the way they spoke, how simple their message was. And what do you know? They were going to be in Toronto. I was living in Toronto at that time. They were going to be in Toronto like 4 weeks after. So it was a weekend workshop. I bought it, and I learned everything about the law of attraction. So within
Wow.
5 years of that, I became very dedicated, very disciplined. Within 5 years of that, I had an international assignment at work. I had bought my home. I had gotten married. Everything I wanted, I had.
That's so
But
amazing.
here's where
Yeah.
immigration happened, right? I moved to the UK. Everything changed. And that's where I realized that there were a lot of things that when I'm in a known environment, I can kind of keep in check. It was easy to control around me. But once everything becomes such an unknown, all of these beliefs that I'm not good enough, I don't deserve, like, I'm wrong, what am I doing wrong? All of it came back to the surface. So everything that I have built, it started to kind of crumble a little. And that's when I realized, okay, there are two kind of sides to the coin. One is, yes, you can manifest, you can have clarity, you can, keep your energy high and take aligned action and make it happen. But then there is the other side of the coin, which is you cannot achieve alignment, which is what you need to manifest, unless you're good at understanding your triggers. Because every time something triggers you, like being in a new country, being in a new place, you are going to immediately start going back to those places within you that feel like, what am I doing wrong? I'm not enough, or something like that. So
because you have those, I love that you're talking about the triggers, because in a situation of like an unknown country, for example, you might come with all the confidence, but then it's a combination in between yourself doubting, right? Like you're like, I'm not good enough. For example, my English is not good enough. My accent, people notice that I'm not from here. But then there's also the real world kind of telling you those things, or you start comparing yourself with others and you're like, So how hard, right, to balance those things?
Yeah, and that's when I found, like, I had a really hard time in that last move. But it wasn't the last one. The last one was when I came back to Canada, but the last time I left Canada. And I think what I became aware of is there is this piece of me understanding where the stories, because at the end of the day, the situation is not what makes you sad or stressed or angry. Is the story that you tell yourself about the situation.
True.
And whether the story that I was telling myself, if I'm not good enough, or, people don't like me because I'm Mexican, or people don't like me because I have an accent, or, all of these stories, and then really start, I call it in the book, become curious of, is this really true? Like, half the time, the stories, I love this author. Her name is Byron Katie, and she says that our stories, reality is kinder than the stories we tell ourselves.
100%. The things that we tell ourselves never happen. Like, never happen so horribly as our minds put it. Like, seriously, we're so hard on ourselves. And when someone's maybe telling you their situation, we would never imagine that those things are going to happen to them. But we do tell ourselves those stories, which is, I don't know why we do that.
And if it is a friend, we are like, oh, come on, it's going to be okay. But when it comes to us, it's like, Louis Hay used to say, stop scaring yourself. We're constantly scaring ourselves. Like, oh my God, this is going to turn out so bad.
Yes.
So part of the other side of the coin that I was talking is getting curious about all of these stories that we tell ourselves. And then just know that it's a part of you that it still feels very inadequate or feels very, less than, and just love that part of you, because you can't shame yourself back into alignment. You can only love yourself back into alignment. So just support yourself through it. Like, I'm seeing it right now with the launch of my book. Like, all of the stories are coming up in my head. All of the vulnerabilities are coming up in my head. And I just asked myself, what can I do to support myself through this? So today I took the day off and I drove to the lake. There is a lake about an hour from here. And I just sat there in the silence for like an hour, and then I walked for another hour because that brought me back to myself. So it's just loving yourself through whatever it is, whether it is you're moving to a new country or you're launching a book, whatever it is.
When did you start writing the book? Like, how long has been the process? And I love the fact that you're sharing this, fears that we have and the stories we tell ourselves, because I feel like a lot of the time we feel like shame about talking about it. So I'm so glad that you were able to put it in a book for everyone to have access to. So yeah, how was that process of writing it? I'm sure it was pretty interesting.
So in 2018, I wrote the proposal. So to write so I had an idea of what I wanted in the book, but I didn't know every step. So 6 steps in the book.
Okay.
So I didn't know every step or the process of it. So I actually did, in the summer of 2018, I did one-on-one coaching with 21 Latinas.
Oh, wow.
And for free, just to say, okay, let's talk about something that you really want to work on. And I will walk them through the steps and give them the tools. And then based on that, I came up with, okay, these are the 6 steps. And then my publisher said, you have to have exercises. So in a coaching session, you ask questions, right? So how do you replicate that into an exercise that you can do in the book?
Right.
So I came up with exercises and then did 80-something Latinas in the fall and winter of 2018 in workshops. So we did these workshops where we did the exercises and everything. And out of that conversation also, I came up with a troubleshooting guide for each one of the chapters. For example, in the chapter of curiosity, it's like, well, I can't stop, treating myself badly, or I can't, or I have too much compassion. I'm not doing anything now because I'm just like all the time, feeling sorry for myself, like those kinds of things. So that was 2018, wrote the proposal 2018, gave it to Hay House. It was contest. So whoever won will get a contract with Hay House. So I submitted my proposal December 2018, and then March 2019, they announced I won.
That's so exciting. I didn't know that was the whole process. Congratulations.
Thank you. So I wrote the book 2019, and I gave it back to Hay House in December 2019. And then 2020, it's been all about back and forth with the editing and the, getting the cover and getting the interior design. Like they do like funny designs.
Oh, that's so pretty. Yes.
So, so it's been a 3-year process.
How amazing. There's so much work and so much effort behind a book. And I think it's just such an amazing gift to give to the world, right? To have the possibility to access those things. And there's a concept which I love and I want you to tell us a little bit more about, which is the intentionally manifesting the things. So a lot of the times it seems like we want things and maybe we're asking for those things to the universe or maybe using the law of attraction, but how can we really obtain those things that we want for our life? And I know it's part of a lot of the things we can find in the book, but just like briefly the concept of maybe more things we can discover with your book.
Yeah, and I knew for a fact that the word intention had to go somewhere in the title because I love the word of intention. We're always manifesting, always, whether you want it or not.
Oh, wow.
So why not make it intentional? The energy that you're offering, the actions that you're taking are constantly revealing to you things that the universe has brought to you. So, the process of creation is you have a desire, the universe immediately creates it for you. It doesn't question it, it doesn't judge it, immediately creates it for you. And now your job is to bring it to you. And you do that through alignment and align action. So, you know, I made sure that one of the steps was actually commitment, is action, because you cannot win the lottery unless you buy the ticket. So
Exactly.
you have to take action, and then the universe kind of responds in kind. There is one of my favorite sayings is by, I think it's Joseph Campbell, that says, take one step towards the gods, and the gods take 10 steps towards you.
Right.
So take a step, and they're going to meet you where you are, but you need to take action. So the one secret that I always tell people is, now that you know what you want, let's say, for example, you say, I want a new car. Take a step back and ask yourself, why? If your answer is because I want my parents to be proud of me, or I want my boss to think of me highly, then that's not an authentic desire. It's coming from fear. You're doing it because there's a part of you that thinks, if I get this, I'm going to be happy. And it never works out that way.
To prove something to others, or
But then if your desire is because, I want to feel free. I want to have a reliable mode of transportation. I want to be able to explore places, like something that is authentic to you. Then when you visualize, when you do your vision board, when you do, your journaling about what it might be like to have a new car, don't talk about the car, talk about the feeling that you're going to have when you have the car.
Wow.
And the reason is for many reasons. So one is, when we focus on what we want, it's very easy to start getting all stuck with, like, how is it going to come about? Who's going to bring it? Where? When? And then all of that starts making you stress, which starts bringing your energy down. And now you're slowing down manifestation. But then when you focus on the why, you don't worry about the how and the when and the who, because you're just focusing on what it will be like to have it. So number one. And then the second one is, you're giving the universe permission to actually surprise you. Because what if what you're dreaming about is the Nissan, 2020, and the universe is like, oh no, I got you, Chica. I'm going to bring you a Mercedes, 2022.
Exactly.
And then you're thinking, I'm going to have to go and buy it from like a used place or something. And maybe the universe is saying, no. I'm going to get it to you because you have an aunt that is getting rid of her car, and she's going to offer you to you, and you're going to get it like half the price. Like, give permission to the universe to bring it to you in a way that you can't even imagine. That's going to be 10,000 times more perfect than anything you can come up with.
Oh, and I feel like this is I love it. And I'm just thinking about times that I have gotten stuff I wanted, and I'm also thinking about all the things I'm so scared about, and maybe that's why I'm having, being able to manifest them. And I can't stop thinking about how useful this can be. I don't know if you call it a tool or just an approach, right, of living for immigrants, and for entering an unknown situation, for entering a place that we don't understand, that we, so many times we have to do jobs that we didn't do in our home countries, or we have to start really from zero, although I don't like saying that we start from zero, but you know what I mean? Like, we really have to prove ourselves. But how amazing will be to enter that immigration journey, or whatever in the immigration people might be right now, and kind of switch that approach and think about the things that you want. No matter, I love that you said the how and when, or, we start thinking about, but what about my visa? I need to apply for, just think about it, right? Like, just manifest it.
Yeah. And also, like, take little steps. Like, I posted a couple of days on Instagram that I say, you always have a choice to either get close to what you want or get away from what you want. So let's say, for example, that your immigration status is a little bit in the back, like, you don't know what's going to happen next. Okay, what are some steps that you can take to help what you want to manifest in your life.
Yeah.
There are many things out of our control. I mean, the government can change regulations overnight. Um, you could apply, and the person that reviews your file is having a bad day, and they reject you. Like, there's so many things out of our control. So focus on the things that you can control, and trust that that will be enough. And
Yeah.
I know too that if things don't happen exactly as you want them to happen, nothing's broken, nothing is wrong.
Yeah.
It just means maybe it wasn't that way, there is another way. You just keep going until you reach a dead end, or you reach what you want. And if it is a dead end, then go a different way.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
And that's what I mean to go back to your why. Like, if your story is, I want to work in the United States, for example, why? What is the why behind?
Yeah.
And connect with that, because maybe there are, sometimes we stare at a door for so long that we don't realize there are 20 other doors open.
That is true. Yeah. I loved exploring that. Yeah.
Sometimes taking a step back just makes you realize, whoa, I was so stuck with, like, this is the way things have to be. But maybe there are 2 or 3 other ways that you never thought about. And that maybe if you just take a step back, you can now see them and be like, huh.
Yeah. And it can end up being way better, right? Like, it's just giving, as you said, the universe that opportunity to surprise us, right? And to also for us to be curious and see what else is out there, not just that one thing that we wanted. That's beautiful. What is something that you would like readers to get out from your book?
Yeah, that there is a possibility to manifest. And I go back to what I say, there's so much we cannot control in this world. So much. But you can always have a choice of how you face the situation and the steps that you take after the situation. So, for example, if I know when I was in the US, I had an H-1B visa, and I was always so worried, what if my job lets me go, right? So, thankfully that didn't happen. They ended up moving into Canada. But if that has happened, I think that, it's okay. This happened. And then what am I going to do next? So even though it feels like you don't have a choice, we always have a choice of what's the next step we're going to take.
Yes. Thank you.
And I think too, and that's where intention comes, right? And, I think I said at the beginning, we're always manifesting, consciously or unconsciously. And I remember the first time I talked to you, I mentioned, many times we live our lives like we're a leaf on the wind. The wind is pushing us around and we have no say, right? Well, what I would love for people to know is you always have a say. You always have a choice. And yes, there's a lot we cannot control, but there's also a lot we can. So focus on that.
Yes. Oh, wow. This is so beautiful. And I think it's such an amazing conversation from someone that have been going through those ups and downs. I feel like I really appreciate you being honest about the times where you didn't think you were going to get the things you wanted, and to just see how many stuff you have been able to accomplish and achieve in your life. I think it's really an inspiration and a motivation for us listening. And I can't wait to read the book and share a little bit more about it as well. I know you're sharing so many amazing quotes on your Instagram account, which I love, and they really push me to think about actions that I can take, which I really appreciate. But I want you to tell us where we can find Chica Why Not, and where can people connect with you.
So Chica Why Not is sold everywhere where books are sold. If you go to www.sandrahinojosaludwig.com, you can find all of the links there. I also have a list of Latinx stores, Latinx-owned stores, if they want to support La Raza.
Yes.
And then they can find me on Instagram and in Facebook. So Sandra Hinojosa Ludwig, both in Instagram and in Facebook. And thank you for allowing me to share about this book. I always have such a joy talking about this topic.
Of course, it's like your baby. Like it's just a big excitement. And I had another question I forgot to ask you before, and I will leave all the links below this episode so people can find those links in your website and your Instagram. But I do remember you mentioned that I love that the book has the word chica, right, in Spanish, and you also said that it has a lot from your Mexican culture and background. So where can we find us Latinx community that are listening with your book?
You know, I really wanted to include a little bit of my growing up in Mexico, and like I say, a lot of me moving around as well. So a little bit of my immigration story, which is different from other stories, but it's an immigration story nonetheless.
Yeah.
I also include a lot of Spanglish because I think there is this recognition of what it's like to think in Spanish and feel in Spanish, if you will. So
Yes.
I really wanted this book to be unique in the self-help space. There is very little Latinas out there in this space. Latinos in general, actually.
Yeah.
So I wanted a book that spoke to us. I didn't want a book that was, you know, there is already Wayne Dyer, there's already Louise Hay, there's already, you know, Gabrielle Bernstein, but there is no one
like you
talking to us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just posted actually in Instagram in my story where I was saying, this is the book that I wish I had read in my 20s. You know, that told the story of growing up in Mexico, that told the story of moving to a different country, that told the story of what it's like to live this way, you know, in this culture.
Yeah.
And try at the same time to achieve all of these goals and try to, you know, manifest and try to heal and try to do all of these things.
And try to fit in. Like, I feel like that's something that, yeah, I think a lot of people are going to be able to relate. And as you said, a lot of people that are not seeing themselves represented out there, and they're not seeing themselves represented in stories and in books. And as you were saying, your immigration story, your own journey, what I love is that, you know, the starting the conversation and the understanding that each story is so different, right? And it doesn't have to fit like a little box, or it doesn't. Sometimes we're like, whoa, no, my immigration story is not like, but it is. And it's, I love that you're saying that, right? Like, it's who you are and how those experiences shaped you. So I think that's really beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. Well, thank you. I'm so happy to share with you about my book and also this conversation, because there is many of us out there leaving everything behind and moving to a whole new place. And I love the stories for sure.
And knowing that, you know, we, the brave immigrants that let everything behind, we can still find and achieve and dream with the life that we want. I think a lot of the times leaving our countries behind, we also leave behind our dreams, and we leave behind the things we thought we can accomplish, but that's still a possibility. And I feel like that's why it's so important to learn books like yours that empower us and show us that there's a way. So thank you one more time, Sandra, for being here and for writing the book and for sharing so much with us here in Modern Immigrant.
Thank you so much.